it was so far ahead of itself, years ahead of itself. Think about it. 30 years later, it's still selling like it was day one back then. And it's just, it made such an impact. It changed the culture of hip hop music.
What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there. It's free. That enables us to keep coming to you guys as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share it, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. And we appreciate your guys' support getting us this far. Now, today for Cover Story, we have the honor and the privilege of being joined by DJ Yella. Thank you for coming through, sir.
How you doing? How you doing?
Yes. It's an honor to catch back up with Yella. And Yella has selected for Cover Story to do N.W.A. Straight Outta Compton. So, Yella, you talk about the making of that in your book, Straight Outta Compton, My Untold Story, which everybody pick up if they haven't picked it up already. It's available worldwide. So in the book, you talk about how you actually had seen a picture that kind of inspired where you got the Straight Outta Compton idea for the cover. So what was that? How did you happen across it? What happened?
Oh, you talking about the cover of the album, right?
Yes.
Well, what it is, I was about the only one that go up to Priority all the time and check on stuff. And I remember I was in their offices and I seen, they were showing me some pictures, slides, whatever they were, prints. And I seen the one with us facing down. And there was only a few shots taken of that one. I mean, because that wasn't meant to be the cover. That was just a shot. The guy laid on the ground. He took a few shots and that was it. And I remember seeing it and I said, oh, that make a nice cover. I didn't think nothing else about it. And then a month later, or whenever it was, a few weeks, it was the cover for the album. So because the album, I think it had this other picture in the alley or something. But this pic just was so unique, till this day. So I guess they call it a famous picture, but it's very unique. It was different. I don't think I've seen nobody else have a cover like that. Maybe after us, but before us, I really don't know. But it was different.
Yeah. Now, do you remember when you guys were taking that shot? What made you guys take that specific angle?
I don't know if anybody recommended, but I know the photographer just got on the ground, laid on the ground flat, and we just pointed over him, looked down, and about 5 or 6 pictures. That was it. That's all he took. Because he was on the ground, getting dirty and stuff. So I think we was maybe downtown LA in the alleys or wherever we was, somewhere on the back street.
Okay. And then since you guys had done, you and Dre in particular with Wrecking Crew had done very different pictures and different types of photographs, what was it like for you going from that to doing the Straight Outta Compton cover, aesthetically especially?
Well, our clothing was definitely different. That's for sure. Way different. But we just put on some clothes, regular everyday clothes, and just took the picture. And there was nothing spectacular about it. We didn't really think about the picture at all, to tell you the truth. We just an album cover. That's all it was. We didn't know it would be something later on, but it was just definitely different from our Wrecking Crew days by far.
Right. And then with the guns and stuff, do you remember, was the photographer nervous that there were guns in his face? Did he care? Were you guys laughing about it? Like, what was going on?
Well, the gun couldn't harm nobody because it was a starter pistol, that they started the little races and stuff with. So I don't even think it had no blanks in it. So no, he didn't have a problem. He just pointed it, and that made it such a unique picture. It's just like, wow. We didn't know it would be the test of time later on, that it's still, I guess, an iconic picture or something, but it's very unique. It just, boom, look down, point the gun, and that was it.
Okay. And then with the other pictures, didn't you guys end up using some of the other pictures for singles and different other releases related to Straight Outta Compton?
We use the one that I know we was originally going to be the cover, whereas in the alley, I don't think, I think it's on one of the singles or something. I can't remember which single it was, but maybe the Compton remix, Straight Outta Compton remix or something. Yeah, we didn't take that many pictures, just a few different kind, and we wasn't, we wasn't there all day. It was just certain pictures, just walking, standing over the guy, then a couple of more pictures. That was the whole photo shoot right there.
Wow. Oh, very, very different. Now you said you were one of the only ones or the main one going into priority, which kind of surprises me, given what you talk about in Straight Outta Compton, My Untold Story, but also because if Eazy and Jerry were doing the business side of stuff, what made you want to go up there? Why were you?
Well, I went there getting product or looking at product or something like that. I guess E had meetings or whatever. I don't know. That wasn't my business. But I went up there occasionally, just being nosy, not checking on people, but going up there, getting the free promo copies and this and that, all kind of little stuff, especially when it came time to ordering gold records and stuff. Because I think I was the only one out of the group that had 2 sets of gold records on each, or platinum. I had one for my mother's house and one for my house. So I went up there and, mapped it all out. I was doing my thing, trying to get my stuff. But yeah, I wasn't up there doing business or none of that kind of stuff. Our business was in the studio.
Okay. And then also, of course, Arabian Prince is on the Straight Outta Compton cover. He's really only on Some to Dance To, and that's only on the early pressings, and then it gets removed later on. Do you guys remember any discussion of, since he wasn't going to be in the group really, did you discuss having to redo the photo? Was there any discussion of that?
No, because he was around in the, like you said, early day on a couple of the little maxi singles or whatever they was. He was around and he was on that photo shoot that day. And the one in the alley, that was going to be the original cover, and then that one laying down. And then, but by the time we started working on the album, Arabian went back to being the solo artist. There was no discussions or anything like that because we pulled Panic Zone, off the old singles. So it wasn't, if you think about it, on that album, a lot of the songs was singles already, there was on the single. So that's why our work in the studio was so short, because it was we just remixed a couple of songs and that was it. But yeah, he was in the early days, but then when the album and the tour came, he wasn't around.
Okay. And do you remember early on also tied into the cover writing Outta, like you guys were among you? I don't think you were the first per se, but you were one of the first that spelled the words incorrectly per se. Do you remember why you guys started doing that?
That's just that's just like the language from the street, or just how it's wrote, instead of the way people was calling us back in the 60s slavery days, or that was N.W.A, that's the more racist name or whatever. So we turned the word around into an everyday word. That's not, to us, it wasn't a harmful word. It was just like homeboy or whatever it is nowadays, G and all this stuff. But we just made it into just an everyday word, not no races behind, nothing of that. So we just spelled it different. You notice a lot of titles and a lot of stuff was spelled different.
Well, that's what I was getting.
Is I-Z and the T-H-A.
Yeah, and Outta instead of
yeah.
Well, do you remember that, why you did the Outta like that, and why you did is and boys and all the different spellings?
I guess that's just street slang or something, that's just the way the ghetto writes. People that tag the wall, they don't spell the words right, they spell it in their own way. It's like our own language or something. So we just doing something different, okay. Instead of straight out of, the Outta just makes it so much different.
I agree. And now that you've, obviously we're decades past from that album and you've toured around the world and different things. So what do you think is the legacy of the Straight Outta Compton album cover?
It's just, that cover just made such an impact. It just, you look at it, just like, this is different. This is kind of powerful. Just like the title, Straight Outta Compton. It was so far ahead of itself, years ahead of itself. Think about it. 30 years later, it's still selling like it was day one back then. And it made such an impact. It changed the culture of hip hop music. For that picture, that whole album is just, like I said before, it's such a unique thing. It's hard to explain. You really can't explain why. It's just a basic picture. There's nothing spectacular about it, but it's just, wow. It was just ahead of its time.
And one other thing that I always thought was crazy about it was you also can't necessarily see your guys' faces too well, which for, outside of LA, I don't think the N.W.A and the Posse compilation was that famous yet. I think it got famous later.
Yeah.
So for you guys to really have your first real album cover, to not be able to see you guys too well.
Because remember, the guy laying on the ground, there's no light. So he just taking it natural, whatever it is. So it wasn't the clearest picture, but it was just the most unique picture. That's what made it separate, from a lot of stuff.
Well, there it is. All right, Yella. Well, thanks for coming through the cover story. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
It will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV back with N.W.A.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.